I meet so many people who say to me, "Oh, I can't run because I have arthritis," and they always mention the knees. Um, and the best thing that I could have done, in fact, even my surgeon has told me this, the best thing I could have done was to carry on running. It keeps the joint lubricated, it stops it stiffening up. You just have to do it right.
Welcome on to the next edition of the Faster Beyond 50 podcast. It is brilliant to be with you once again this week. My name is Brad Nadauld. We've got the coach, Lindsey Parry, with us. Lindsey, nice to touch base. Are you well?
I'm very good. Thank you, Brad.
Excellent to hear. I love these episodes of our podcast where we get to chat to somebody within our community who is phenomenally talented as a runner, super inspirational, and we've got another doozy lined up today. We're going to be chatting to Jacqueline Millet, and you've been working with Jackie for a number of years now, but I think a lot of folks in the UK running scene will have seen Jackie around and know a little bit about her story. She's been featured in some pretty big publications over the years as well. And she's got a phenomenal story. Lindsey, tell me a little bit about Jackie, sort of your sort of experience of working with Jackie over the last couple of years. And we'll get Jackie on in a sec.
Cool. So, a common friend, if you'd like, he's one of my clients, but you've had some dealings with him over the years. Danny Suskin, who I've been coaching for years and years, he mentioned to me, I don't know, about half a year maybe before COVID, but it was kind of in and around that. He said, there's this friend of mine, would you consider taking her on and helping her? She's perfect for you, older runner, started running late, but she's really got potential to win her age group in Comrades. And I was like, cool, let me have a conversation with Jackie and then we will take it from there. And so that's kind of where it started. And Jackie was very fast, running not much over 50 minutes, I think, for 10Ks, if memory serves me correctly. But that wasn't her focus. That focus was on marathons. And in particular, she's in love with the Comrades Marathon, which is an 89-kilometer or 50-mile ultra that is run in South Africa. And we just got on very well, very quickly. And it's been a super fun journey. But the thing that I guess I was most surprised about was literally how late and how fast Jackie had managed to get at running. And I was a little nervous at the start about improving on that some more, which we did do in the 10, the shorter stuff. But in the marathons, we never really got to getting her new PBs. But we certainly are keeping her on one of her primary goals at the moment, and that is to run as many run sub fours for as long as she can. And I don't want to steal the thunder in terms of how many marathons and how many sub fours before we get her on, but that's it in a nutshell. And of course, she is striving to get to 10 Comrades finishes into her 70s now, so that will be a phenomenal achievement.
But before we bring Jackie on, let's just share with us some of the PBs that Jackie's got over the last few years. I mean, Jackie is fast. She is very, very fast.
Yeah, so we have still run. I think the last marathon was a 2:56. Listen to me, a 3:50:56. As we were coming out of that COVID block, we were a fraction under 50 minutes for 10 kilometers. She has run some really good low 150 half marathons. And very recently in Valencia, before the tragic storms hit, she ran a 2:03 half marathon as part of her preparation going into the Valencia Marathon, which we'll now have to see if that is going to go ahead or not. But followed instructions perfectly, and I think that puts her on track for getting her to at least one more sub-4 marathon, either in Valencia itself or sort of March, April next year.
I love it. Well, let's bring her in. Jackie Millet, nice to have you on the podcast with us here today. Jackie, just hearing those times, I mean, I'm in awe, absolutely in awe with the times that you've been running. But I think what is for me most incredible is that you only took up running quite late in life. Tell me a little bit about how you got into running. How long have you been running, and how it all started?
Oh, good morning, both of you. Yep. It was in my late 50s, and I had a sort of minor health scare, nothing too dramatic, but I just thought I need to start taking care of my body. And I went to a gym and signed up with a personal trainer because I knew I'd never done anything really sporty. I had a very sedentary job. At the time, I was a psychotherapist. I worked from home, sat in a chair all day. So I wasn't really doing anything active. I signed up with a PT at the gym who actually then became a family friend. I didn't know it at the time. I was his first PT client. And he's in this gym with all these young people, and his heart must have sunk when I turned up. But he took me on, and we got on really well. And what I didn't realize is each week he was putting me on the treadmill to warm up, and he was turning the speed up every week. And eventually he said to me, you're okay at this running business. You should give it a go. And it took a while, but with his help, and he would turn up to the first few races with me. I started running 5Ks and 10Ks, and then went along to parkrun. The parkrun was just starting out in the UK. So that was a big plus for me to be able to run with people who weren't strictly, dedicated runners. So I didn't feel out of place. And very quickly, within a year, I'd moved on to the marathon distance. And I just loved every minute of it.
And Jackie, you talk about moving on to the marathon distance. How many years have you been running, and how many marathons have you run to date?
I think my first marathon, I think I was 58. I'm now 71, and I'm not actually sure. I think it's something like 235, 240 marathons. I'm not entirely sure. I counted up to 100, and then I have a list somewhere.
What is it about the marathon distance you love so much?
You feel like a real star for the day. There's sort of at events, the crowds, the support, the feeling when you cross the line, you really feel you've achieved something. And there's, it's involved me traveling to such amazing places all over the world and meeting people. Even I've just come back from Valencia, where there were these awful storms, and someone who befriended me on Strava, who lived in Valencia, messaged me and said, "Are you okay? Can I do anything to help?" And we just went out for a run together. The running community is incredible, and it's, to me, to be part of that is something really special.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jackie, when it comes to the majors, you've also, I think you're just about to do the double 6 stars. And obviously the news has just broken that Sydney's been added, so they keep adding more to the list. Tell me about your love for the majors.
They're fantastic races. I know I bump into people at times who say, "Oh, I don't like these big city marathons." There's all the fuss and bother about getting there and queues and so on. But I just love the whole atmosphere. I loved it in New York when, we had to go out to Staten Island, and we sit for a few hours, but it was just more time to get to talk to people, soak up the atmosphere. I've done them all at least twice, except for Tokyo. Tokyo I've just done once. I did them all with my daughter and my husband, and my son started running now, so he's done 3 majors, so I have to go and complete the others with him. I'm
I love
really
that.
lucky to be able to.
Yeah.
I mean, at my
Yeah.
age, you could get a place very easily.
Yeah, so look, I mean, we're obviously going to dive into the performance element of your journey, but this is the part of your running that I really love, and yeah, it's one of Jackie's superpowers, Brad. Like, she really does connect people together, and part of the reason why I think she loves the marathon distance is that it allows these connections to take place. And Jackie will go if a race is a train trip away and she's not going to run it, but she's got friends, of which there are many, and I count myself privileged now to be included as one of those. Then her and Cam, her daughter, will hop on a train and come through to Amsterdam for the day or for an evening. And they will just come and visit, even if they aren't running the race, and support. And I see that playing itself out in all the races. And there's always an amazing crowd of people from Portugal, South America, from Asia, from the Americas. And we all get together at these races for a dinner or a lunch, often both.
Yeah.
And the celebration afterwards. And I think that's also part of what's just been really incredible that you do. I mean, you genuinely do. You don't just meet people and get to know a little bit about them in the excitement to the race at New York. They often turn into lifelong friends as a result of those conversations.
It's fantastic, and of course, there's all the people we meet now through Coach Parry as well. It just adds to this sort of family of runners. It's brilliant.
Yeah, but before we get into the performance side of things, I was lucky enough to experience one of these events at Comrades in June this year.
That was the last time I saw you.
I got to sit at one of these celebration events and was in awe. Jackie, just as Lindsey said, was just in awe of the variety of people who love being around you and the circle of people you drag around the world with you, which is amazing. And that wants me to touch, because that's how you came on to our radar, was through Comrades. And I mean, obviously you've run a lot of marathons. If you've got a goal to get your permanent number 10 Comrades finishes. Tell me a little bit about your experience with Comrades before we get into the performance side of things. What makes that race? I mean, you've run lots of races around the world, but what makes Comrades so special?
It's got everything. So I first ran it. I hadn't been running that long. I was 60. I treated myself for my 60th birthday present to a trip, and at that point, I didn't know many people in the running world. So it was really the start of it. The race well, obviously it's an amazing challenge. I'd heard about the Comrades race before I was a runner, and I'm not sure why I knew about it, but I did. I actually went on a forum in the UK and met some people there who, again, are now lifelong friends. But they filled me in on some of the details, and it just sounded fantastic, and it really lived up to its promise. The challenge of the race itself, the support, the crowds, the South Africans who come up and say, thank you for coming to my country and running my race, and a huge opportunity to meet people, which is, good for me. The course is fantastic. I just can't say enough about it. It just got to me. And then the first year I ran, I tripped on one of the awful cat's eyes, and I actually ended up with a broken shoulder and broken ribs, which I didn't realize until I'd finished the race. So when I went home, and my daughter said, they were all really nervous about me going, and she said, okay, you've done it now, that's it, isn't it? And I said, no, I've got to go back to run the down run. And she said, well, you're not going back without me to look after you. And I said to her, well, if you're coming, you've got to run. And she wasn't really a runner then, so she started training, and she came, and then as soon as she got there, she saw the attraction, and she's been every year since too. and now my son's going. So he'll be doing he's done 3. So yeah, it's a real family thing too.
And it does.
And
Once it gets under your skin.
Martin's
Yeah.
the only sensible one. He hasn't
Martin's
run
been
Comrades.
banned. He's been banned from marathons. So yeah, he kept ending up in the medical tent. He's not a marathon runner.
Yeah, I mean, Comrades is it is brutal. It is tough, but once it gets under your skin, it's really difficult to let go. But let's talk about some of the performance side of things, Jackie. I mean, like I said, you took up running quite late in life, but you've definitely got ability, and you've improved and seen some amazing performances. You've been working quite closely with Lindsey and the rest of the team here at Coach Parry for a couple of years now. What do you think has been the biggest thing that's made like the biggest needle mover in your running, like the biggest thing that's made a huge difference?
Well, I think there are a number of things, but at the top of my list is accountability. You know, I before I started working with Lindsey, I just think, do I want to go out for a run today or not? What races shall I enter? I have no idea what pace I'm going out at. I just go out and run. And it was during COVID that we started working together, when all the events stopped, and I was a complete loss. I didn't know what I was doing with running. I realized, you know, I was just going out for a run every day, because that's all we could do. And then I have arthritis in my knee from I broke my knee in 2014, and running every day aggravated it, so I couldn't go and run every day. And I thought I need to do something to give the running some meaning and to actually start looking after myself again. So through Danny, I got in touch with Lindsey, and the first thing he did was cut down the number of times a week I ran. And, you know, he started just getting the running into some sort of shape. I couldn't have told you paces before. I just went out and ran, and, you know, we started talking about paces for different races and training runs. And so yeah, accountability, that support, I mean, I could look up a training plan online, I suppose, but I didn't, and it would never be tailored to me, especially as I get older. You know, things are different. Temperature regulation is a real problem. Fueling is a problem. Your body just doesn't work as well. You can keep it really fit and healthy, but I get my plans sort of altered week by week according to what's happening. Yeah, I never used to get colds, flu, anything like that. And as I get older, I can feel my body is more frail. And the knee problem rears up from time to time, and so we work around that. But yeah, it's and then of course the strength work. I came into running really strong because I'd been working with the personal trainer in the gym, and he left to go and live in Australia after a few years. And so I stopped doing strength work because I was a runner now. You know, I didn't need strength work. And that's another thing that Lindsey's got me back onto, and I realize how important it is, you know. Yeah, so there's so much.
Linz, let me bring you in here. I mean, you've obviously seen Jackie's running progress over the years. What do you think some of the things that Jackie's done and done well that has really contributed to her running success and consistency over the last few years?
Yeah, so having worked with Jackie now for quite a long time, and just while she was talking, it also just twigged my memory about how we've almost gone through some stages. And my memory has been jogged very well now. And I actually remember that I met Jackie and Cam. Actually, I almost got stuck in the UK. I wouldn't be married anymore if I had, because that was almost the last trip pre-COVID. And we share another passion, which is Liverpool Football Club. And Jackie's actually got a genuine excuse for being a Liverpool supporter. She actually comes from Liverpool, unlike me who comes from South Africa. The point is, I was in the UK to watch Liverpool, and while I was there, I gave a Comrades talk at the Boathouse.
Yeah.
And that's where I met them, and then got out of the UK with 48 hours to spare. I was then potentially ground zero of the COVID production line in South Africa and had to take myself off to the hospital for a COVID test and self-isolate. But anyway, so it was during COVID, which I actually think gave Jackie a unique opportunity to dial back from the marathons. And so I think there are quite a few things that we changed that allowed some short-term rejuvenation in Jackie's running. And that was that we reduced the number of sessions she was doing, but also she was running a lot of marathons very close together. And so COVID obviously took that opportunity away. There were some opportunities around these self-timed 10Ks. They were actual measured routes, so we knew they were 10Ks, and you had these staggered starts where you'd arrive and start between, say, 7 and 8:30 in these batch starts. So it gave us a change of focus, and we could set some shorter term goals, change the way that she was training, give her some structure, and obviously that then led to some really fantastic 10K times in the short term. And then we struggled a little bit initially, Jackie, to convert those 10Ks into the marathon. And so that was then around pacing. So then the kind of next phase that we went into was, okay, well, how do we learn to pace the runs better, which certainly helped and improved. And then we were getting better results in the marathon, but we still weren't quite getting that same translation. We added strength training, but to be honest, at the beginning, the strength training was the thing that we got to when we and if we got to it. So initially, very typical running. The strength training was seen as the vegetables. And then before we actually fixed the strength training, the thing that really made us jump and then get well under the 4-hour barrier again, which then made us both believe we could do this 4-hour for a good few years still to come. And that was that you went for a longer run with a friend. I still remember the conversation clearly, because one of the things that I was constantly a bit of a stuck record on is like, you've got to run your easy runs easier. You've got to run your easy runs easier. You've got to run your easy runs easier. And I'm mentioning this from a coaching point of view because I see this over and over again. And one of the things that Jackie said to me after she got this right, she said to me, it seems so silly now, but at the time, she had this time in her mind that was, when I get slower than that, I've lost it. I've lost my ability. I've got to accept that I'm not a fast runner anymore. And so she was holding this line, which meant that as time goes by, the intensity of that run was getting higher and higher to maintain that pace. Anyway, she went out with this friend and ran a much slower long run, and then got on our call the following week, was like, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I just feel so much better after that run. And that's it. The next marathon, she absolutely nailed. Like we were hovering like between 4:03 and like 4:13, you know, some really not so, well, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but in Jackie's mind, so not so good, and some like close but not there. Boom, suddenly we hit like, I think it was a 3:54, 3:56 at slowest. And now we've moved into this phase where the strength training, I think, is having the biggest impact on both how Jackie feels, but very importantly around this arthritic knee, that is really allowing her to carry on running. And so that's kind of the next phase of this journey, if you want to call it that.
If you're over 50 and want to recover from sessions faster, run pain and injury-free, and improve your endurance, then be sure to join Lindsey and I for our upcoming Faster Beyond 50 Masterclass. In it, we'll show you how we helped a 70-year-old run a 47-minute, 18-second 10K, and how you can take those exact same principles and apply them in your training. Simply scan the QR code that's on screen right now, or click on the link in the description below to save your seat in the training now. We look forward to seeing you there.
I meet so many people who say to me, "Oh, I can't run because I have arthritis," and they always mention the knees. And the best thing that I could have done, in fact, even my surgeon has told me this, the best thing I could have done was to carry on running. It keeps the joint lubricated. It stops it stiffening up. I just have to do it right, and I do have to get the muscles around it to support the knee. I have to keep them strong, but yeah. So I went out for a run yesterday with the same friend because I'd had this week in Valencia, all the training had been mixed up, and I ended up doing my speed work on Saturday, and then I had a long run Sunday, which isn't ideal. But so I went out with the same friend, so we ran a really slow, long run together. And it's still there in my mind. As long as I do that run, it doesn't matter how slow it is.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the goal, is the long, slow, or long, easy, not necessarily slow. Lindsey always calls me out for saying it's a slow run, but it's easy is the way it needs to be. But Jackie, one thing I wanted to ask you, and Lindsey, you can chime in here as well once we've heard from Jackie, is around recovery. I mean, Lindsey did mention that you run a lot of marathons, and we talk about recovery being so important, particularly once you hit 50, 60 and beyond. How do you manage your recovery? Like, what is your sort of process? Is it, do you go on feel? Do you wake up in the morning and go, you know what, I'm not feeling it, so I'm not doing the session today? Do you track heart rate variability? What is your process to track your recovery and then make decisions from there?
Well, one thing is I'm lucky enough that I can always message Lindsey and ask him, this is how I'm feeling, what run should I do? So that I've got that advantage. But I do track my heart rate variability, but it's a bit sort of, you wake up and you look at it and it's low and you think, oh, does that mean I shouldn't run today? Or I'm not really sure entirely what to do with it. The recovery is built into my program, and if something goes wrong and I message Lindsey, he'll alter the program for me. And recovery is really, really, I've noted it's so important now for me. One year I did run 52 marathons in a year, and there was no recovery time at all. And I hate to think what I was doing to my body, but I was a bit younger. Now it's really very important, very built in. And if I need to take the time out, I will. I think that's probably, it's more important than to push through the runs. And certainly slowing things down, that's been crucial.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Lindsey, what I will say is that Jackie's very good at telling me when there's something up. So I have, one of my big frustrations as a coach is that a lot of people will almost take the let's see how it goes approach, and be like, it can't be that bad, or let me get to the end of the week, or I'm talking to Lindsey in 2 days time anyway, so I'll do these 2 runs. Whereas if Jackie falls, or like the most recent one where you twisted your knee when you were walking through a little village, so that kind of thing, she's very quick to just not do it and say, listen, it didn't feel right. Sometimes that'll be it. She'll just tell me it didn't feel right. I started warming up and it didn't feel right, so I didn't do the session. Or I went out to do an interval session, for example, but the only place I could run was a path, and it was so uneven. And I think as you are approaching late 60s, 70s, going through mid 70s, like my father, who's just recently had his birthday, those are clever decisions to make. Like we can shift things around, we can move things to a different time in the week. Do your hard running when you're feeling fresh and the conditions are set for it.
Yeah.
Look, I still have to put in some forced recoveries after marathons. I think, one must never live in regret, but I really think that if Jackie had found running as a teenager, she would have been a special athlete, because her recovery is amazing. Okay. I can't run the number of marathons in a year that Jackie can run at 71. So she does recover exceptionally well, but she's also really aware of when she's not ready, and will speak up. So yeah,
And it
I think
does
that's
happen
really.
more often as you get older. I know I started as an older runner, but I've noticed that, I just can't keep the same. Well, obviously, the crazy way I started, but even now, I have to keep taking a step back. But that's okay, because it can be worked in. It's okay.
Yeah, and Jackie, the interesting thing is, and what Lindsey said too, is often, and I think this cuts across all ages, not just when you're in your 50s, 60s, 70s, where if there is a session, if you're following a structured training plan and there is a session to do, often, even if you're not feeling it, you feel like you have to do it. So
Yeah.
having that ability to go, you know what, I'm not feeling it today, this can change, is to have that flexibility. And then also the honesty enough with whoever you're working with, whether it's one-on-one with Lindsey or whether it's following one of the training plans on our platform, and you jump into the forum and ask that question. Lindsey, you always say the session, you never get injured from the session you don't do. So if things aren't right, your body has a way of telling you things aren't right. And if you push through it and you keep pushing through it, the margins for error in your 20s and 30s are pretty big. But when you get into your 60s and 70s, they're tiny. And when you start pushing the envelope like that and not listening to your body and not taking advice from somebody outside, you're just putting yourself at a higher risk to end up with a catastrophic injury where you're out for 6 months, 12 months, and then it's really hard to come back.
Yeah. Yeah, I had 9 months out when I broke my knee. I tripped on the towpath, and I didn't realize it was broken. I carried on running. I actually ran 5 marathons on a broken knee and destroyed some of the bone. So I now have a very weak knee. But that was just me pushing on, thinking I did go to physio. I got told it was IT band, but actually the end of the femur was broken. Having had 9 months out once, I can't afford to have an injury like that at my age. There's too many things I still want to do. So yeah, I'm definitely going to err on the side of caution.
Well, let's touch on some of those. What are the things you still want to do? What's in the short to medium term and long term? What are some of the running goals you've still got, Jackie?
Well, at the top of my list is to get my green number at Comrades, which is a big ask still. Last year I think I was the second oldest female finisher, and so I'm not taking that for granted. I just hope I can do that. So that's the main goal. In order to do that, I'd like to run a sub-4 this year so I can get into my Pen D, which I'm comfortable in. If I don't, I'll, as near as possible to that. So that's the next goal down. Traveling with my son and daughter to a few more marathons. I'd love to do the Cape Town Marathon sometime. Sydney's been added to the list. It's a long way. I've got friends there. My coach, my old PT coach is in Sydney, and he came this year with his baby to visit me. So maybe I can go and visit him and run Sydney. Just enjoy going out, being with people, with runners, chatting to them. Next up is supposed to be the Valencia Marathon in December, if that goes ahead. And the only other things I've got booked up at the moment are London next year and Comrades. So I've certainly started spreading them out more, but there's probably going to be something else in between when I get round to it.
it's a running podcast, but one of the things that's very close to me is this concept of longevity and healthy living as you get older. And so part of it is also Jackie and Martin love going on hiking tours. And one of the places that they love coming to is South Africa. And so they'll be doing some amazing tours when they do visit South Africa again next year. And so I would include that in goals. That is really to be able to just keep experiencing the outdoors and doing the things you enjoy doing for as long as physically possible.
Yeah, we are taking a bit of a tangent here, Jackie. I didn't know that about you, which is amazing. But I think I actually sent it to Danny. I should have sent it to you too. I sent it to Lindsey, and he thinks I'm crazy. But I found a hiking trail that you can hike.
You sent it to me. You did send it. Yeah, I know. The logistics look complicated, but it sounds absolutely amazing. I'd have to come over and stay for a while.
That's not a problem. You love South Africa. No, it's incredible. So, I mean, for everybody who's listening, it's a north to south hike of the Kruger Park, which is a large national park here in South Africa. It's Big Five, so you've got lions, leopards, elephants, buffalo, the works. And it's basically over 3 days. I mean, you can't walk in that park generally. It's over 3 years, I should say. And you do 6 trips of 5 days each. So you start at the north of the park. It's about 650 kilometers. And over that 3-year period, over those 5 or 6 little tranches of time, you end up walking the entire Kruger Park, which I think is absolutely incredible and has been added to my list of things I need to do before I kick the bucket. So yeah, that is definitely one to do. Jackie, I've loved chatting.
It's the only hike I've seen where you have to enter a ballot to get into.
Yeah, they have an auction of the first one, and I think they only do 3 of them a year for each of the legs. So the first one is an auction, and you've got to buy all 8 spots. So I'm not quite sure how much the auction goes for. It was a fair whack of money to register for the auction to start with. So I didn't register, but it is definitely going to happen. I've no doubt. So absolutely. Jackie, I've loved chatting to you. I know we are running out of time, and congratulations on everything you've achieved. And we love meeting you around the world and particularly here in South Africa around Comrades. And we look forward to catching up early in the new year when you are out again.
Thank you.